Afternoon, everybody. It's MrDoTheMath here, and today we're going to talk about finding the slope of a line. This is things that we learned in Algebra last year, but it's always great to go over again. With finding the slope of the line, it's important that you remember that the slope of the line represents what? What is the slope of the line? How did you find the slope? What does the slope mean to you?
Y equals mx plus b.
Y equals mx plus b. That's what the slope means to you?
That's the equation.
So, thank you. Alright, y equals mx plus b is an equation for a line, but rise over run represents the slope. The slope is the rise over the run, right? And I always say the change in the y over the change in the x. The change in the y over the change of the x is what Jonna just said to us. So she said y1 minus y2, that's the change in the y, over x1 minus x2. Okay? This is known as the slope formula. And a lot of books, they'll flip the y2 to be in the front and the x2 to be in the front, right? But you get the same thing. So it's the same thing. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? Now, this is how you find the slope, right? And when you find a slope, you're looking at points. And points are always represented in an ordered pair. X comes first, then y. And that's where we make our mistakes at a lot of times. We see x comes first, then y, and then we put it into the formula. We accidentally put x at the top and y at the bottom. Y always goes at the top, all right? Y, up and down, rise. X, left and right, run, okay? So this is our ordered pair, all right? Now, at this level, parallel, right? This level we need to learn about parallel lines, right? Because that's our focus. Parallel lines and perpendicular lines. For parallel lines, the slope is always the same, right? So if you have parallel lines, their slopes are the same, all right? Think about railroad tracks, right? Those will never intersect. All right, because they're moving at the same rate in the same direction, right? That's parallel lines. This is our sign for parallel. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines, which mean this, their slope is the opposite. It's the opposite, and then it's flipped. All right, I'll just say flipped, right? The math term for flipped is reciprocal. It's the opposite reciprocal, right? So, opposite meaning if it was positive it becomes negative, or if it's negative it becomes positive. Flip or reciprocal means that the numerator becomes the denominator and the denominator becomes the numerator. So, for instance, if A represented a number and B represented a number and this was the slope, the perpendicular slope would be negative B over A. Okay? The negative sign is the opposite part, and the changing of A to B is the flip part. Alright, that's the flip. Alright, this is the flip. Okay? Now, last year or before when we talk about slopes, we got 4 different types of slopes. We got 4 types of slopes. 4 types. We got positive slopes. Positive slopes always go towards the first quadrant. They're moving in this direction. If the slope is negative, it's always going towards the second quadrant. If you have a horizontal line, like so, that means your slope, for a horizontal line, the slope is going to have no rise and all run, which means you're going to have a 0 slope. And if you have a vertical line, you're going to have an undefined slope, which means that you're going to have rise. There's going to be a number for the y value, but no number for the x value. So it's going to be a number over 0, which means undefined. Okay? Again, you have 4 types of slopes. You got positive slope, a negative slope, 0 slope, or an undefined slope. Okay? We all good with that? Give me a thumbs up to let me know how we feel. We good with that? You good, JC? You good? You good? You good? Ferg, you good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, let's look at finding the slope. Let's find the slope. Does everybody have this 4 types part? Okay, Mary, you good? Okay, Mary. I'm sorry, I heard you say wait. I'm sorry. Let's look at a point. All right, so let's look at this point here. If we had 2 points, one point being say 6 and 4, and the other point being, we use this, 8 and 2, right? Find the slope of this line. This is AB. Find the slope. Okay?
All right.
Find the slope. Okay?
Oh, you want us to do it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Girl.
Yeah. Find the slope. Find the slope. Find the slope. Find the slope. Okay? So, let us use this formula here, right? y2 minus y1. You have 2 sets of points, which means you have 2 sets of x's and 2 sets of y's. This is x1, 6 is x1, 4 is y1. x2 is 8, y2 is 2. Okay? So we just substitute these into this formula here. y2.
Why can't we do Y1?
It can be. We can do it both ways. y2 minus y1. 4 over x2 minus x1. Right? 2 minus 4. Negativo 2. See? 8 minus 6. ¿Cuál es 2? The answer is -1. How many students got -1?
Me.
Good. Good. Now, that's using y2 and y1, right? y2 first. You get the same thing if you do
Yeah, I
y1.
did.
Okay.
Can 6 be Y1?
Can 6 be y1?
And then A be Y2? Or does it have to be that one?
Well, you can flip. If you flip this one, if you put 6 in the front and 8 in the back, you got to put 4 in the front. No, it won't. The 2 will be negative. The 2 at the bottom will be negative, but it's still a -1. Okay? Now, if this is the parallel, if this is the slope, right? Slope being like 1 over 1, basically -1 over 1, what would the perpendicular slope be?
1 over
Would
negative.
it be 1 over -1?
1 over -2.
Just 1. Right. Look, this negative being at the top or the bottom just means that the whole fraction is negative. Right? So if the whole fraction is negative, the opposite is going to be positive. Alright? Because they're the same, they just flip it, you get with that. Okay? And that's finding the slope. Okay? Student math out. Please like and subscribe.